5 global business mobility routes, launched for overseas transfer employees. Today's video update will discuss the launch of 5 global business mobility visa routes. On the 11th of April 2022, 5 global business mobility GBM routes were introduced. These routes are for companies aiming to transfer employees to the United Kingdom or build a presence. These GBM routes are developed for employees essaying temporary assignments in the UK without leading to settlement, although, once in the UK, there is the opportunity to change into a different immigration category, most likely the skilled worker route.
UK
single global
immigration system.
Duration in the United Kingdom, under the GBM provisions, is limited. Each subcategory includes its own maximum leave period. If the worker is a high earner, annual salary of at least £73,900, the total accumulated leave within the GBM routes is limited to 5 years within any 6-year period, or 9 years within any 10-year period. Similar to other categories of the points-based immigration system, sponsorship is critical. The licensed sponsor must be permitted to sponsor workers within the appropriate category. UK roles must be eligible occupations, as mentioned in the immigration rules, that fulfill the lowest skill level. In certain circumstances, there is an obligation for the minimum salary. The typical maintenance obligations apply, however, there is no requirement for the English language. All GBM visas allow dependents to accompany the principal applicant. Visa for senior or specialist workers. This substitutes the intra-company transfer route, which has now concluded. This route can be used by the sponsor to transfer senior managers or specialist workers to work temporarily for them in the United Kingdom from a related overseas entity. The overseas entity must have employed the applicant for a minimum of 1 year unless they are a high earner. In addition to fulfilling the suitable skill level, the UK role must have at least an annual salary of either £42,400 or the current rate for the occupation, whichever is higher. Leave to remain is for up to 5 years, or 9 years for high earners. The graduate trainee route. This route replaces the intra-company transfer graduate trainee route, and is for overseas workers who are being transferred to the United Kingdom to take on a work placement as a component of a structured graduate training scheme, which opens to a senior managerial or specialist role. Applicants must have worked for their overseas employer for a minimum of 3 months. The UK role must be at a suitable skill level, with an annual salary that is the higher between £23,100 or 70% of the defined going rate for the role. Successful candidates will gain approval to perform the UK role for 1 year or, if shorter, until they have accumulated 5 years of leave through any GBM route. There is no longer a cap on the number of certificates of sponsorship a sponsor can allocate via this route. Previously it was limited to 20 per financial year. Visa for UK expansion worker. This route supersedes the sole representative of an overseas business visa. It can only be used by businesses that are not yet trading in the UK. Whereas its predecessor route was unsponsored, the UK expansion worker visa requires the worker to have a UK sponsor, a wholly owned subsidiary, or a branch of an established overseas business. The UK entity may only sponsor the number of workers it genuinely demands to establish the UK business, up to 5 workers at any one time. The entity is expected to launch an active UK trading presence within 2 years. To obtain a sponsor license for this route, the prospective sponsor must furnish plausible evidence that it plans and can establish a new UK branch, or a wholly owned subsidiary of a business established overseas, that has been active and trading for a minimum of 3 years. Please note that this 3-year trading obligation does not apply when a Japanese company seeks to establish a UK branch or subsidiary through the UK-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. In the following circumstances, evidential exceptions can also apply. The overseas business is listed on an international stock exchange, which the FCA regards to have an equivalent level of regulation to UK markets. The overseas business is listed on the London Stock Exchange. The Department for International Trade supports the expansion of the overseas business to the UK, the Department for Business, Energy, and International Strategy, or another government department that has confirmed the expansion's viability. The exact minimum salary and skill level benchmarks apply for the senior and specialist worker route. Likewise, the applicant must be employed by a connected overseas employer and have a minimum of 12 months of service unless they are a high earner. Leave to remain will be for 1 year, with the possibility of extension for a second year, or up to the moment when the individual has held GBM leave for 5 years. Unlike the sole representative visa, time spent in the UK does not lead to indefinite leave to remain. Secondment worker. This is a new route for those seconded to the UK as part of their overseas employer's high-value contract or investment. The contract must be for goods or investments worth a minimum of £10 million per year, and no less than £50 million in total, to qualify as high value. This high threshold caps the efficacy of this route. As for the other GBM routes, candidates must be sponsored in a qualified role, at a suitable skill level, and have been employed by the overseas linked entity for a minimum of 12 months, unless they are a high earner. However, there is no threshold for the minimum salary, and no English language proficiency requirements. Leave to remain will be granted for up to 1 year, with the possibility to extend for an additional year. Service supplier. This replaces the Temporary Worker International Agreement visa. It is for applicants who are either a contractual service supplier who has been employed by an overseas service provider or a self-employed independent professional based overseas and who require to work in the UK to provide services covered by one of the UK's international trade agreements. The UK sponsor must hold a contract with the overseas service provider, registered with the Home Office, and the visa bearer must work on that contract in the UK. The role in the UK must fulfill the minimum skill criteria, and there is a nationality obligation, but no minimum salary requirement. Leave to remain will be granted either for 6 months or 12 months, if covered by a relevant international trade agreement. We have reached the end of today's video update. Like, share and subscribe to our channel for more latest updates. Thanks for watching.